Hey, so in this video, I'm going to share with you how we present a detailed line item proposal that achieves a 1.83 to 2x markup and prevents your customer from negotiating with you and closes the deal. Let me show you what I mean. I learned this from Michael Anschel over at Anschel Otaga Design Build, and it's called the COPE proposal. It stands for Cost of Project Execution. In a COPE proposal, you have three components. You got materials, you got labor, and you have COPE. What I want you to do going forward is in the material section, list out every single piece you're using, down to the box, down to the unit. For example, this says framing, 10 penny nails, 2 boxes, and the price. The point is the customers want to feel like they have information because that information conveys you've done your homework. And if you've done your homework, clearly you know what you're doing. And so they can get an apples to apples comparison between your proposal and another person's proposal. But what you're never, ever going to do is break out your labor. And here is why. And here's a good rule of thumb when you're presenting to our remodel customers is if information can be verified on the internet, for example, materials, we can all go to Google, we can all look up Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, and we can find out what we're being charged. Unless you can prove you're adding value commensurate to your markup. For example, most people are going to argue your customers are going to fight you tooth and nail on a 2x markup on a box of nails, saying that they'll just get it themselves, but they won't bat an eye when you start talking about project management hours and permitting and waste disposal. We'll get in that in a second. So what I want, again, all the material for the job, down to the nail, list in materials and do not mark it up. And here's why. Just list the cost. Then at the bottom, you'll have material total, you'll have the amount. And so then in labor, instead of listing the man hours, what I want you to do is to list the takeoff for every single trade. Companies that I consult with, my own company, we have 50 different cost codes for labor. And we'll go into that in a second. Just bear with me for a moment. For every cost code, list the takeoff and how many days you expect it to take. We're not saying how many guys. We're not saying what we're paying them. Why? Because that's proprietary information. Those are your relationships, not the customers. The customer is buying your ability to deliver the project. They have no claim to your relationships. So again, give them just enough data so that they know you know what you're doing. So list the takeoff and the amount of and the expected days you expect it to take. And the cool thing is by doing your homework here, it makes creating a construction schedule an absolute breeze. But that's beside the point. So now we get to my favorite part. Now, Michael Anschel is going to kill me because I took his COPE. He's of the school of thought that he's going to list everything and then show a fair markup. I'm like, screw that. I'm not going to give ever customer proprietary information that I worked my ass off to develop, because the more information you give somebody, the more negotiating power, right? And so this is business, right? You got to protect your bottom line. And these things are what we call trade secrets. I will never share a trade secret with anybody who isn't a partner or an employee under a non-disclosure, non-compete agreement, ever. So all that notwithstanding, cost of project execution. What I found is to be the best practice is you list out the project management hours, per week, the rate at which you're charging for that project manager, the week and the number of weeks to get the subtotal. And I charge my project management time at $150 an hour. And frankly, I feel that's a little low when I've seen plumbers charging $200 on an emergency service call. So $150 is fair. And so then list out logistics in terms of material delivery. That's where you want to slot the material delivery. You got permitting and insurance. Just take the pro rata, whatever your insurance costs you, okay, per month, divided by the number of projects you do, slot that in there. Permitting, the number of hours it's going to take you to go down to the office times $150 an hour, right? Waste disposal. I mean, I wouldn't charge $150 for that, but you do you. Storage. This is where you have your Connex or your trailer or your dumpsters, etc. Inspections. That's the time spent preparing for an inspection. However many years warranty you do. My company's crazy. We do 5, and I'll explain why later. And so then you got your COPE total. And so you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Lane, I don't understand. How can I make sure I'm getting my 1.6 to 1.83 to 2x markup? By the way, 1.6, 40% gross margin. 1.83, 45% gross margin. 2x, 50% gross margin. I had to think about that for a minute.
Hey, remodelers, if you find this content useful, would you do me a big giant favor? And if this is on a podcast, would you subscribe to the podcast? And if you're consuming this on YouTube, would you smash the like button and the subscribe button? It'll help us with the algorithm so more remodelers can discover this content. I would be your fan forever. Thanks, guys.
So again, guys, you're marking up your labor. So whatever your labor is going to cost, you mark that up by 1.6, 1.83, and you put the single price for the labor here, right? You got your single price for the material here. And then down here, figure out what you need, what you would have marked up your material in order to get your target project markup. Whatever this value is, that times 0.6 or times 0.83 or times 1, whatever your differential is, take that amount and slot that here, and then build back what you need to show in your project management hours and your warranty, whatever you want to sell your warranty at, and your logistics, right? My favorite toggle in this is project management hours, because, for example, in a typical $100,000 kitchen we do, materials might be 25% of that. Call it 30% of that. So 30%, a markup of, call it 0.45 times 30,000. So we got to find a way to justify $13,500. Well, a typical $100,000 kitchen is going to take us 12 weeks. And if I'm billing project management time at $150 an hour, I need to justify 90 hours across 12 weeks of project management time. That's 7.5 hours. That's less than 2 hours a day on the job site, setting up the crews, doing quality control, doing quality inspections, fixing defective work. Do you think you can justify 2 hours a day of project management time on the job? Yes, you can. So that's how we do it. And so now the customer has no room to negotiate with you, because previous their go-to was really two things. It was to say, hey, I'll just go get the material myself. Don't worry about it. Well, in your proposal, it's free. And in the labor, they'll ask you, well, how much are you paying for the labor? And at that point, I don't know yet. Because you legitimately don't know. You have no idea how long the project's going to take. You're just saying, look, this is an estimate. This is what I think it's going to cost. And I guarantee that the price isn't going to be more than this. And if it is, that's my problem, not yours, Mr. Customer. Because we're doing firm fixed price bids. This is why cost plus is dumb. Now, granted, we mark that up, 1.83x. There's no way for him to verify it, because unless this guy is a construction dude like us, he's not going to know what production rates are, or she. They have no business being your customer anyway. Move on, okay? But the point I'm trying to get across, guys, is even your best customers are going to have heartburn paying markup on material. So by taking that markup that you would have marked up on material and calling that project management hours, now the customer's not going to argue, because what are they going to say? I'll manage the project myself. Like, great, I'm clearly not your GC, because you're not doing that with my license. Does that make sense, guys? So this is a way to achieve your 1.83 markup and do it with such transparency from the customer's perspective that you're screaming, I know what I'm doing. You're screaming, I'm transparent. You're screaming, I'm fair. And so the customer is going to look at your proposal versus Chuck on the trucks, where he's going to give one big price and be like, the cost of doing the project is X and the cost of me not doing the project is 0. He's like, okay, Chuck, adios. So guys, seriously, switch over to the COAT proposal. And if you want it, I have this in a detailed by cost code, all 50 cost codes I use in labor and also for materials inside our Facebook group. And so if you want, just mosey on over to boot up Facebook, and inside Facebook, you'll find low stress, high profit remodeler business secrets. By Monday, the COAT proposal in Excel, because we use BuilderTrend, but I've got it converted into Excel for all y'all that don't use BuilderTrend, so that you can start using that yourself. Just join the group, you'll find it in the files, start presenting your bids more intelligently, and you'll make a lot more money. Take care.